Lawrence Hedges is the founding director of Newport Psychoanalytic Institute, where he currently serves as supervising and training psychoanalyst. He is a director of the Listening Perspective Studies Center and is in private practice specializing in training psychotherapists in Orange, California. Dr. Hedges is an instructor in psychology and psychoanalysis at CGI California Graduate Institute. He holds a faculty appointment at the University of California at Irvine Medical School, Department of Psychiatry. He is author of numerous papers in the following psychotherapeutic texts: Listening Perspectives in Psychotherapy, Interpreting the Countertransference, Remembering, Repeating, and Working Through Childhood Trauma, In Search of the Lost Mother of Infancy, Strategic Emotional Involvement, and Working the Organizing Experience. To say the least, your next speaker is quite prolific, and I think you will enjoy listening to him a lot. Dr. Hedges.
What I want to talk about are not accusations where we know that people are lying, where we know that they have a motive for money or whatever. The false accusations that I've had a chance to look at, being an expert witness and through my work in consultation groups over the last 7 or 8 years when this has become a problem, the kind of accusations I've had a chance to look at are the ones where the client really believes that the therapist has done something or not done something that has been very damaging and very hurtful. And so whether this accusation remains within the context of the psychotherapy situation, whether a third-party consultant is brought in to begin helping to mediate or resolve any accusation, or whether the accusation in one way or another begins to spill out into the society at large, whether to an ethics committee, a licensing board, or a civil court, at all levels there, with that accusation, what is going on? Now, let me make clear what we've already heard many times today. We know that for 10,000 years there's been far more abuse going on than any of us would like to think, and that the veil of denial has just been lifting, and so there are plenty of therapists who have certainly crossed boundaries they shouldn't have crossed and who have been disciplined appropriately. What I'm mostly concerned about is when a therapist has been conducting his or her life in an average expectable way, stirring up transferences, and something in the transference causes an accusation to be aimed at the therapist, which could be very destructive to the therapist. How do we begin to understand the nature of that process? The broader context is going to have to do something with this theme that's also been a part of today of recovered memories in psychotherapy, because only a year or two ago you saw me standing at this very same podium talking about recovered memories. And in that one, what you were hearing me say was that so many of these recovered memories are going to be traceable back to infantile trauma. That is, whether it's fetal alcoholic syndrome, an incubator, surgery, a psychotic mother, a depressed mother, a family in distress, a Holocaust conditions, starvation, rats in the barrio. It doesn't matter what the nature of the infantile trauma was. The question is, how is it remembered? And the answer is, it can only be remembered as a physical experience, a body experience. We don't know quite where it's meaningful to talk about the difference between mind and body, but certainly not so much back in utero or during those earliest months of life. The experiences that are remembered, are recorded in the body tissue, in the kind of contractions that Virginia was talking about today, and that Bob was, and that certainly in the first year of life, the body is going to be the recorder. And so 40 years later, someone wants to know, I know there's some damage down there. I was hurt in some way. I can't maintain intimate relationships in a way that other people can. I know there's something wrong. And so whether through pentothal, hypnosis, psychotherapy, the person begins to search, they go down, 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 and what do we come up with? Well, we know from our own dreams every night that we're very creative in our dreams. The human mind is designed to create symbols, and the human intelligence will try to account for things. And so in trying to account for something that the person knows went wrong somewhere and has left scars and damage, but it cannot be remembered in a way that, say, a 5 or 6-year-old child might be able to remember something. Right? The mind begins to create thoughts and images. And the thesis that I took on it, that's present in the book up here today, Remembering, Repeating, and Working Through Childhood Trauma, I then looked at the standard archetypes that tend to appear in these accusations. We've talked about them already today. The cult abuse ones, the satanic ones. It interested me at one point to read, actually in a Christian magazine, that 95% of the cases of satanic ritual abuse come from fundamental Christian homes, which could tell us something about where the sense of ritual is. In these homes, the devil is real. In these homes, there is a certain community in which many children that come to our practices felt sold down the river by their parents to the beliefs, the rituals, the doctrines, and the creeds of the group around them. So the whole satanic ritual scene begins to unfold in a way that's clearer. The best story, by the way, is the best account of it that I've read, is Nathaniel Hawthorne. Do you know young Goodman Brown? 1854, I believe. And Nathaniel Hawthorne wrote this wonderful story, and here's Nathaniel Hawthorne's interpretation of satanic ritual abuse. Young Goodman Brown, on the day of his marriage, but before his marriage is consummated, suddenly realizes that he has had an appointment to keep that he's been putting off for some time, an appointment with someone in the woods. And so he starts off in the woods, and slowly he is joined by the mysterious presence, and they walk together with this sort of Dr. Faustus kind of conversation. And before too long, various other people from the village, the town gossip, okay, soon the minister, and finally the governor's wife join him, and they're all going through the forest until at last in the clearing, the giant fires, the pyres, almost the entire village of people, and the altar laid out. And who does he see standing across the circle, across the pyre, directly in front of him? His new bride. That's Nathaniel Hawthorne's interpretation of satanic ritual abuse fantasies. That it has something to do with the terror of sexuality. Another archetype has to do, of course, with abductions. We don't have alien abductions really in this culture until immediately after the atomic bomb. And then we have one after the other, until now we have 3 or 4 million people who are willing on a Roper Foundation survey to acknowledge some sort of hard or soft contact with aliens. The story has evolved, it's now archetypical, but we've had abductions since the beginning of time. There's always some tribe coming across the mountains or down the river or across the ocean to steal our babies, make our wives pregnant, to enslave us in some way or another. And so alien abductions just happens to be the latest version of a time-honored theme. It's interested me to discover that not one Chinese has been taken aboard a spaceship. Now, I don't know if that means the aliens are racist. On the other hand, 50% of all Brazilians report having had some contact with aliens. And so by the time we begin to study it cross-culturally, we can realize that it is a very powerful archetype and it works differently in different cultural groups. Incest, of course, is the oldest, the most widespread of human horrors. And so if we want to talk about the worst crime that all cultures